Hi, my name is Max, and I'm the Senior Business Analyst at Course Hero. Today I'm going to talk to you about an approach that we use to analyze our users' internal search queries and how we use that to really drive actionable and very specific insights for our product teams to continually evolve our product. So let me first talk to you a little bit about Course Hero. So Course Hero is a crowdsourced online learning platform where students can access and share all of the study materials that they might find helpful in their courses. We also offer tutoring help on the platform. So Course Hero is a content-based business. So our core products are content. And the three main types of contents that we have on our website are course materials. These are the documents that students might create, either the study guides or lecture notes or practice problems, anything that they might need to help them succeed in their courses. The second is the questions and answer pairs. These, again, are the questions that students might ask to the tutors and the answers that tutors might respond back to the students. And that whole pair, again, is on the website for other users to study and go through. And the last type is flashcards. So flashcards, pretty self-explanatory. Users can create them. They can also study the ones that others have created. So on Course Hero, we have more than 9 million pieces of content all combined to date. And that's a lot of content for one user to go through. So therefore, our internal search bar is basically our user's best friend in finding the specific thing that they need to succeed in their class. As you can see, this is an example of our homepage where the search bar is right on top, and we basically have the search bar on virtually every single page on our website. So why is it so important to look at our internal search? Well, for one, search is the direct voice of our customer. They're literally telling us through the search bar what they need to succeed in their class. And as I said before, search is basically the biggest way for users to find the content that they need on our website. And that's the most efficient way. So focusing on this will have a huge impact on our customers' experience on our website. So thinking about how this analysis will help our business. So we not only need to look at exactly what users are looking for, which is what they type into the search bars. We also need to look at our contents catering towards what they are looking for, and are the contents quality good enough to cater to their needs? And are we able to give those contents rank them on a high on the search result pages for users to find them easily? So there's a whole array of different things that we need to look into to do that. And therefore, there are also a lot of the different search engagement metrics in between that we really need to dive into to really drive the actionable insights from this analysis. So here's all the metrics that we're looking at. So for today, we'll talk about the metrics from demand, which is obviously what users are looking for, and then we'll look at a bunch of the search engagement metrics, as well as our supply side, as well as the user satisfaction towards our content that we give them. I'll go through each one of them in more detail. So the first one is demand. Demand, obviously, that's just how much is a potential search query or a keyword being looked up by a user. So from here, we're just doing basically the volume of the search. The second one is a click-through rate. So this is more on the engagement side. So that tells us for every search that a user would perform, how likely is it that they will click into one of the search results? The third one is the mean reciprocal rank. So this slide is pretty full, but essentially what it means is it's a measure of where users are clicking on the search result pages. A high MRR, or mean reciprocal rank, means that users are likely clicking on the first couple of searches, or the first couple of search results, whereas a low MRR means users are likely going deep into the search results, likely on the second or third page. The fourth one is the conversion rate. So we're using conversion rate to measure user satisfaction towards the content we're able to deliver to them. So conversion rate, from here, we're saying for every search a user does, how likely is it that they will ultimately convert into a Premier subscriber? The fifth one is the search coverage rate, and this is a supply type of metrics. From here, we're basically measuring for every search that users would enter into our bar, how likely are we able to give them a certain set of results. And over here, we're setting 20. And the last one is the document download rate. And this, again, is a measure of satisfaction for our users from the content. So again, this is more geared towards a user who has already subscribed. And once they do a search, how likely are they to download the document and further study that document? So now let's talk a little bit more about the actual search text strings themselves. So the text strings are very specific. They can be very specific, they can be very broad. There's a whole wide range of them, and I'll show you a couple examples later. And to really drive actionable things for our business, we really need to focus our efforts on the very specific things that we can actually do things on. So for example, our key business questions here, we define it as, we want to find the most popular subjects and concepts that our users need, and as well as the courses that are high in demand that they need help in succeeding, as well as the type of material. So either that's study guides or lecture notes or practice exams or stuff like that. So here are a couple of search query examples, as I mentioned before. The first one, as you can see, is very, very specific. It's basically the entire question prompt. And then you can see, then going down the list, then you see users might be searching for a specific subject and a specific type of content that they're looking for. For example, Spanish vocabulary flashcards. Users could also be searching for a specific course or at a specific school, or they could be just searching for a general concept, like general theory of relativity. So now, because we have all these different very specific types of things, and we really need to focus down really to the subjects and the very actionable things that we need to do, the way that we kind of parse out our search is basically we extract those important keywords from each of the search strings, and then we basically group them by all of that, all of the keywords. And then quickly you can see that if you just look at first the one-dimensional, you can see that chemistry, for example, pop on the top. That's the most sought after. We can then go another level deeper and attach pairs of strings that contains chem, and then tell us a little bit more about what about chem. So in two-dimensional, we can see that there's chem study guides, and these pairs of keywords will show up a lot together, and that's something we get a little bit more insight into what users are looking for. Then we can, again, introduce another level. Then we can say, okay, well, chem study guides from Stanford University, that's what users are really looking to get help in. So we can keep doing this more and more in more dimensions, and then you can start beginning to get very specific insights. But keep in mind that every dimension you add, that exponentially increases like your data volume and then the complexity of analysis. So now, one thing we need to look at separately is really the different types of users. There's two main types of users we'll focus on here is the visitors, which are the new users, and the premier users, which are the users that have already bought a subscription. So these two users have slightly different flows in their way from searching to actual content consumption. So we'll look at these two a little bit separately. So we'll focus on visitors first. So here's a typical flow for a visitor. So a visitor will come onto our landing page. They will perform a search on our internal search bar. And then if they see something that they like, they'll click on the content. And if that content is indeed what they need, then they'll go ahead, create an account, convert into a premier subscriber. So now we can take the keywords, the one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional keywords that we talked about before, and plot it onto a quadrant on demand on the x-axis and the conversion rate on the y-axis. So basically, this is telling us where our strengths are. So very clearly, we can see that the terms that is being sought after a lot by our students and is driving a lot of subscribers, that's obviously our strength. We're doing well there, so that's awesome. But we can also look at sort of the bottom left of the slide and look at the opportunity area and see some of the terms are highly sought after, but not really driving a lot of users to our website. And that's the area that we can kind of double click and go in and say what's going on there. So just kind of giving you an example of what kind of the data looks like. This is just example data. So the first three sets of search terms you can see, those are our search, our kind of strength quadrant, right? So we got relatively high demand and pretty high conversion as compared to the rest of the search terms. Then we got the second set of the search terms, which are our opportunity quadrant, right? The demands are just as high, if not higher, than the one from the search quadrant, but the conversion rate is significantly lower than the strength quadrant. Then we can focus on, so again, if we want to double click into that opportunity quadrant and just dive in a little deeper, we can look at the search coverage rate, which is the fourth column there. You can see that the first search term, Marketing 101 Cornell, that one we have roughly about 86% coverage, which is much higher than the other two. So then again, going back to the quadrant view, now again, remember we're focusing on the opportunity quadrant. Now we're splitting that on the search coverage spectrum on the y-axis. So again, we're looking at contents that are highly sought after, not driving a lot of conversion, and if we don't have a lot of search coverage, that means we don't have content for it, then the solve there is we need to invest and get more content there. If we look at the top left of the chart, we can see that if users are looking for those contents a lot, we have a lot of those contents, but users are still not converting off of them, then that's a whole different problem. So potentially we can hypothesize that it could be maybe the relevancy of the content, or is it the misalignment of our content quality and the pricing that's not making the users to basically pull the trigger and turn into a premier subscriber. So now we can dive even more into that and really peel that apart again. So now we're looking at the next metrics we'll look at to kind of spread out that quadrant is the click-through rate. So again, highly sought after contents. We have a lot of contents, but users are not really converting. So now let's see, are they really clicking on the search results, or are they not clicking on search results? So again, looking at the spectrum on the low click-through rate, if users are not clicking on the search results, then that's pretty clear to us that the search results are not relevant. On the other end of the spectrum, if users are clicking on the results, but then they're dropping off after seeing the content, then that tells us it's really the quality of the content or the pricing of our subscription that's not really matching up for them. So that's the area that we'll need to focus on to solve that problem. We can then also look at the mean reciprocal rank to kind of dissect our search algorithm and see how ranking is doing. So regardless of the click-through rate or the different metrics, we can look at if users are clicking on, or the search terms have low mean reciprocal rank, that means users are really going deep into the search results, and that means either our top search results are not relevant, so we probably need to improve on the rankings. And if the mean reciprocal ranks are high, that means only the top few search results are relevant. So as you can see, like all of these metrics will tell us a little bit something, and that's where we can really point our products to the right direction of what are the problems we need to solve. So now let's look at Premier users. Premier users, very similar to how we do it for the new visitors. So again, we'll plot out their typical flow. A Premier user will log in. Again, they'll perform an internal search. And then if they see something, they'll click on a content page. If they ultimately like that content, they'll unlock it, get access, and then download it to study more. So very similar flow to what we have for the new visitors. And then again, you can see we can follow the very same approach, plot these on the demand and document download rate, which is the ultimate satisfaction measure for our content delivery. And again, you can see that there's a strength quadrant. A lot of users are searching for certain key terms, and a lot of users are downloading those contents to study. That's great. On the other side, for the opportunity quadrant, high demand, low download rate, there is something that we need to work on there. And then again, diving in, we'll look at the search coverage. Do we have contents to answer those? If we don't, we need to get more content. If we do, what's going on? So Very similar approach. So the key takeaway is really, by doing this analysis, we're really able to find out, one, what users really need to help them succeed in their courses, and two, do we have what they need to help them succeed? And everything in between is sort of the ways for us to basically improve the user experience. And then the different metrics and probes we'll send out, that's really help us to get there. So this is an example of how the analytics team, our analytics team, can really influence our product's roadmaps as well as strategy. Yeah, that's it.
So, one of the when you were segmenting dimensions, you were placing study gates together. How did you extract from the query logs these phrases? Like, you know, study gates together.
Yeah.
How did you extract it?
So the question is, how do we extract? So one of the keywords that we extract together is actually a pair of keywords. So how do we extract that? So I think that's a good question. So that's actually one of the specific things that we look for. Because if you just have study and you have guide, like two separate things, that's like, you need another dimension to really pair them together. So those are the specific things that we look for. Say, okay, study guide, these two gotta be together.
But how do you do it automatically with the system, right? It could be any stopwords are very next to each other. Like, if you do analytics systematically, how do you understand?
Oh yeah. So what we do is we parse out every single text, every single word, and then for those pairs that we know needs to be together, we'll set those special conditions, and then we'll pull out all the filler words, and then from there we'll just group them all together and say what are the top highly sought after, what are the highest converting ones.
So you use a manual process to set them together, like they're together, right? It's a dictionary of.
Yeah, I mean, like if we know that study and guide needs to be together, then we'll have like special rules for that. But aside from that, then we'll just have to combine all of them and just plot them on the quadrant. Yep. Yeah.
What are your plans for adding more knowledge to the queries? Or do you have ambitions to create a methodology, or how about are you doing that
What? Say it again.
to help you understand the meaning of the query?
The meaning of the query.
Do you have any plans to make your sort of more smarter to improve your measures?
Yeah, so I mean, I think for that's a little bit further down the line for us. Right now, what we're really trying to focus on is just what can we deliver, and then really where to invest in terms of the actual content. Yep.
How do you differentiate between when someone puts in that huge question string, for example,
Yep.
and then there's a small query to see which route you should go, if you should actually parse any of that out?
So we do parse everything out, even if it's a big question, we'll parse it out. Yeah, and by definition, those the long tail searches, those are very, very specific. So it's very unlikely that they will have like a couple of users searching for the same exact thing. Yeah.
To follow up on that, do you actually do an OR, Boolean OR between the terms? Do you do a Boolean OR between each and every terms rather than an AND? Because if you have such a long query, it's very unlikely that you will get any results.
Clarify that?
The query term, do you do a Boolean OR between query terms, and do a Boolean AND by default between the terms, keywords in the query?
What do you mean by Boolean or Boolean AND?
It's like both the terms should be part of the same document for it to be returned back.
Yeah.
Versus either or.
Oh yeah. So if it's a two dimension, then it's gotta be AND. So then these two key terms has to appear together.
So
Does that make sense?
every time you determine whether these two terms are they need together or not. Is it like study guide, do you phrase it, do phrasing in real time and figure out the dimensions?
No, so dimensions, we have to preset that dimensions, and then that's how we're able to plot that onto the quadrant. So then the study guide, just think of study guide as one term rather than two terms. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thanks.